Okay, so I'm gonna see if you guys can hear it. I can definitely feel it and I can hear it, but it's when I hit the brakes, you can hear it. Definitely sounds like it's coming from the passenger side front lower control arm, but we're gonna go ahead and replace both. So we're gonna pull it into the shop now and get started. All right, so we got our 2012 LR4 up on jack stands in the shop. And prior to starting this, you need to measure from the center of your wheel to the top of your fender flare and get that measurement in normal ride height before you start jacking up or doing anything. All right. There's a couple options you can do. You can replace the bushings with the original type of bushings. You can upgrade them to polyurethane, which I contemplated. And it's these bushings here and here. I have a right and left, passenger side and driver side lower control arms here. What I decided to do, because the cost of the polyurethane I just couldn't justify. This one's not going off-road. It's the wife's car. She's going to be using it 99% of the time. Maybe some road trips, and that's about it on the highway. So I decided to go with these full control arm replacements. These are made by Eurospare. They're made in Great Britain. They come with, obviously, the original oil-filled bushings installed and a new ball joint. Now, I ordered it from a company that does lifetime warranty. So if these bushings wear out again, I just send them back this control arm and they'll ship me a new one free of charge. That goes for both of them. So that's why I decided it was the most practical. Plus, I was able to get a new ball joint, control arm, and bushings all ready to go for the price it would have been for, half the polyurethane bushings. So I think it was just a better deal for our setup. Everybody's different. Underneath, I just used some paint marker and marked both sides. You can see there, both sides of the front and the rear alignment cams. Once I paint marked it, then I just sprayed some WD-40 on the insides and on the threads of the bolts, all of them, both lower control arm bolts, and also the lower ball joint bolt and the lower shock strut bolt there. So everything's soaked in penetrating oil. Okay, first we're going to do is break the lower ball joint bolt nut loose using my 1/2" drive number 24 deep socket 1/2" drive breaker bar. Okay, once you break it loose, switch it over to a standard ratchet. Got your nut, comes off. Straighten it out so you can see a little better. Okay, so I'm replacing the lower ball joint, so I don't care if this stud gets damaged. If you don't want the stud to get damaged because you're going to reuse it, you can hammer on your steering knuckle here. That was stubborn. Okay, so we got that loose. Next thing we're going to do is remove our lower strut bolt. Same deep socket, number 24. Recommend using a breaker bar. And then you'll need a number 24 on the other side to hold it still. Actually, I'm sorry. It's going to be a number 21. Yep, but we replaced these struts already. Okay. So then we'll just switch over and make this a little easier for us. And go ahead and just pull out that strut bolt. All right, put your nut back on your, you'll be reusing these hardware. Okay, so again, we got the strut bolt, lower strut bolt disconnected, our lower ball joint separated. Now we're gonna go under and remove our lower control arm bolts. You want to turn the nut side. Don't try to turn the bolt side. The bolt side is a cam setting. It's made not to turn until you release that nut. So we'll get a number 24 on the nut, break it loose, and then it should come apart. Getting ready to pull this rear control arm nut loose, try to break it loose. You can see I got short extension and a 6-inch extension onto my deep socket, seated all the way on there, going to a breaker bar, and then my son is going to be lifting up on the breaker bar. So I'm just going to hold it steady, but this is the tight one. I think this is the one that alignment shops tend to stay away from because it is kind of difficult to get into. So let me switch the camera around so my daughter can record us breaking it loose. Yep. Holy shit. All right, it's turning. That's it? Yeah, you're hitting the... All right, so that's the tricky part. If we had a engine lift, we're limited on how much movement we can do with a breaker bar.
I might be able to do it with this one.
Think you can?
Yeah.
I just have a terrible car. You're gonna have to move. Now that you got down to the perfect shot.
Oh, it's not really gonna see much except Ken.
Okay, you're on there. Oh, oh. Okay.
Still good?
Yep. Keep my fingers out of the way. It's turning. You got it. Come on, muscles. You've been working out. It's so awkward. They're so tight to get a good wrench on there. Oh, slid off. Okay. There you go. Which turned? What turned? Go for it.
My thing shifted down.
Okay, that's good. Sweet. Nice.
I'm gonna end it later.
We got the lower control arm bolts removed. We got the lower strut mount bolt and the lower ball joint separated. So what you want to do now is turn your wheel all the way in. Make sure this drops down. Kind of pull it over like this. You want this part of the control arm right about here in this little pocket. Okay? Then what I do is I grab one arm here, reach around, grab the other, and kind of pull the ball joint up. There we go. So it would have been easier if I used the steering wheel and had this turn, because I didn't have it all the way turned, but it was flexing on the arm. So if you use the steering wheel, it'll draw that tie rod all the way in, and that's the key. This thing gets tilted, and you can just slide it out without removing the axle hub. And our control arm's out.
Oh,
Okay, so we have our new control arm. Again, I do the whole control arm with new bushings and ball joint. Comes with a new lock nut. Set that off to the side. Remove the protector. Installing it's basically a reverse order. You're going to want to pivot that out like that. Pick it up. Start the ball joint in that hole. Just work it in. And there you go. It's in there. So now we can take our ball joint nut, start it on there hand tight, and that just keeps it from getting falling out. And I'll crawl under there and stick the control arm bolts back in. Is on the control bolts, I'll coat it in grease just to reduce the possibility of corrosion. So it's easier next time or when they go to the alignment shop. So I'm going to slide under there and do that now, and we'll catch up with you on when I'm done. And now I'm going to tighten down the lower ball joint. Okay, next we put in our lower strut mount bolt. Okay, so I have my jack underneath the lower control arm. It's actually on the ball joint nut. I got a rubber pad there. And you jack this up, and they want you to put it in normal ride height, or have it sitting in normal ride height before you tighten down your control arm bushings. That way they're not tightened down in the extended position. Then when you're in ride height mode, normal mode, it's flexing them bushings. Premature wear. So I had just done a couple of days ago, did a suspension calibration. So I already know at ride height, this front sits at 466 millimeters. So I measure from there all the way up. I just got to go up 1 millimeter. She'll be set. So she'll be set. Once you have it set here, yeah, I think I just got to go up a little bit, 1 millimeter or so. And then once you got that set, then you go in and with your wrench and tools, and I think I snugged up the front one, lined up the cams markings, tighten it down by hand or with just a standard ratchet, not a breaker bar, and then did the same thing to the rear. And then I come back and check the front, and as long as when both of them are lined up, you get them good and tight, and then you put your torque wrench on there and torque them down. I'm just using a breaker bar. You get them good and tight. I have a good idea what they should be, so that's the pattern. So once you get these tightened down, then you keep the jack in there, and then you tighten down your strut mount. Right now my strut bolt is loose. That way the bushing is sitting on the bottom, and it doesn't prematurely wear that bushing as well. So real quick, align these adjustments, tighten it down, align these adjustments, tighten it down, double check these, then torque those down, come out, tighten down this one, torque it down, put the jack down, and we're done. We can put the wheel on. And then I'm going to probably do a suspension calibration again with the new bushings in there, or at least check it, and then take it in for a wheel alignment. And then I'll do another suspension test calibration just to see if the wheel alignment changed the suspension calibration at all. Just curious. So that's where I'm at right now. Let me get these adjusted up, tightened down. Okay, now we're tightening this up. Oops. Put a wrench on there. All right, that's everything's torqued down now. Put our wheel back on, we'll be done by tomorrow.